What is going on ICBA fans? My name is Frosty, aka the Alpha Like Rocket. Welcome back to week 10. Yeah, I know, right? Week 10. So let me explain a little bit here. So as you guys can see, we did quite a bit of a jump. We went from like week 6 to week 10, and you're probably wondering what happens with week 7, 8, 9. What ended up happening is that over the last month, I have been going to dealer school to be a card dealer at the casino that I work at. So I have been just extremely pressed for time because my normal work hours are like 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then I have to come back in at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday and do 9 a.m. to 12 to do school. So the last few weeks have been extremely difficult to find time to record and sleep, and most of the time it's just been sleep. And it's been so hectic that actually at one point I almost actually gave up the season and where I was at, and even my playoff spot. As of week 9, we are guaranteed the playoffs. We're guaranteed the playoffs, so one way or the other. This win or loss will depend on whether I'm going to be seeded as number 2 or if I'm going to be placed as a wild card. So going with that, let's go back to week 7. So for week 7, we had a match with the Portage Herdiers, but the day before we were supposed to have the match, the Portage Herdiers coach came to us and said he was going to he didn't have enough, he was not pressed for time. He, just things happen, life happens. He needed to take care of real life, and that he was going to be dropping from the league. We just decided that week 7 there was no point in finding a replacement, so we handed out forfeit wins for the remainder of the season. For all coaches he was to battle, so we ended up getting a win 3-0 by forfeit in week 7. So I mean that it put us in good position as at this point we're 5-2 with good differential. And then we get to week 8 and we battle Dom and the Golden State War Turtles, the guy who inherited our name. He is actually leading. At this point, he started taking. I think he had just tied with Deebs for first place in the division under us, which I think is the Melee. I don't remember the division name. So I knew we were gonna have a tough battle because he has Manaphy, and I know my team struggles a little bit with Manaphy. I decided to bring a defensive Charizard because he had a Ditto, and I didn't want him to reverse sweep me with my own Charizard. So I brought a non-setup variant Charizard. The one thing I didn't bring, that because we ended up losing the match 2-0, and the one thing that really costed us the match was it 2 or 3-0? I think it was 2-0. But the one thing that really costed me the match was not bringing Tangrowth, because he did bring Tail Glow Manaphy. And so what would have been better is if I had brought Assault Vesta Tangrowth, because Assault Vesta Tangrowth immediately forces the switch and immediately allows, or it gives me a great advantage, because even at +3 he can't do anything, and even if he has the +3, even if he has anything to hit me like Ice Beam or something like that, he can't OHKO me, and he gets OHKO'd by a Power Whip or a Giga Drain, or Giga Drain just extends my life because I did have actually Giga Drain on it. So but it just so happens that way. So we ended up losing week 8, and then going into week 9, we actually made some more transactions. We ended up making a trade where we ended up trading Electros. We ended up trading Electros and getting Manectric. Manectric was I felt was going to be a little bit better considering I was lacking some speed, and so Manectric boosters a 105 speed, so it gave me a lot of good options for that. So I felt really good to have that. And Electros, I kept finding it just became harder and harder to figure out how to bring it every week, and it was just like, oh, I can't bring it because of this, or it doesn't do well against this, and so it just ended up becoming a huge thing. So So also with that, we also used our last transaction. We only had one left after moving the Z crystals around. We ended up dropping Silvally. So Silvally was great throughout the whole season. When I did bring it, when I did get to use it, I felt it's still a good mon. I didn't really have any problems with it. It just became really, really hard to use and to bring every week, or finding ways to bring it. And with that, we actually dropped it. We picked up a little bit more speed, and we actually picked up a dark type, which we needed, and we picked up Zoroark. Zoroark allows me to play a lot of illusion games with people, allowing me to put in, to use it as an illusionary mon to kind of bait something out while going for something else. So with that, in week 9, we faced Cap, who took over for the Battlefield Torracats. With that, I will say that I hugely misclicked on something, and it costed us a win. It costed us a 4-0 win. I don't know if I would have won to begin with, but it definitely ensured a higher differential loss, as we took a 4-0, where I probably could have, if I had clicked the right mon to begin with, I could have gone it down to a 2-0, or possibly even a 1-0, or even a 1-0 win, but I just couldn't. The misclick happened, and I couldn't get around it, so it sucks. I'm not gonna bring up I'm not gonna go back and redo the battle footage for the weeks, because I'm just gonna move on from it. Like I said, I've been just extremely busy. I finally found some time, and it finally slowed down, because the first couple weeks I was overloaded with so much information on what to do for my potential new job. That it just and then trying to find sleep and trying to do this. Like, I've been literally taking 3-hour naps most days, just because I don't have any more time. I have no other amounts of time, but so it should be a lot easier. There's only a couple weeks left, and then I just have to audition to get a position, and if I pass my audition, I get a position, and then it should be a little bit easier, and I should go back to a little bit more of an easier schedule. But as of that, we lost 4-0, which put us down to 5-4 at 7 plus 7 plus 7 or plus 5. I think it's it's plus 5. It's plus 5. That's right, because we lost. We were at plus 12, and then we lost 6. Are we at plus 12 or plus 11? I think we're at plus 12, and I think we lost. No, we were plus 12 and we lost 7. So it was a 3-0 loss in week 8 and a 4-0 loss in week 9. So that's what it was. So I ended up having the forfeit win offset by the week after that, but then we took a 4-0 loss anyways. So we're at 5-4 at this point in the match. At this point, not in the match. At this point, we are 5-4 at plus 5. Now, looking at all of the other conferences at this point, and all of the other matches and all of the other teams, in our conference we are 5-4. There are 2 teams that are 4-5, and they have to win by like 6-0 standards to even catch us. So at this point, we're guaranteed playoffs. The only difference here is that if I lose, and lose big, because I think Carolina is right under us, and if they win by a decent margin and we lose by a decent margin, they could take first place from us. So as long as we don't lose by a huge number, I think we have to lose by 3-0 or more. If we lose by anything less than a 3-0, we guarantee the Ula division, and we're guaranteed to take it even at a 5-5. But I am happy with the team. I'm happy with how it goes. This week, getting into it, now that I've explained a lot of why I was gone, why there were just no videos, this week we are battling Jonah and his Great Lake Greninjas. See, last season he swept us with Volcarona. That is when I had the weird set with was it Mean Eyes, Mean Look Gardevoir. Like, it was still a great set. I love that set. I'm sorry, that was just like an ingenious set to deal with Blissey. But as you can see, for his team, he brought Registeel, Tentacruel, Goodra, Pheromosa, Alakazam, and that is not Mega Alakazam, this is regular Alakazam, and he brought the Palossand. Now, looking at his team, the one thing I noticed is that his walls do not have a lot of reliable recovery. He does have some with Palossand and Tentacruel, but as for the other things that he brought, he doesn't really have it other than leftovers and all of that. My team, as you can see, we did bring the new one. We brought Zatanna, which is our Zoroark's name. So that is going to be our Zoroark's name. We also brought Ivy, we brought Dragonzord, we brought Whitney, we brought Toxic, and we actually renamed our Buzzwole. It is no longer the tick, is now Swole. So Swole, we brought our Buzzwole. So with this set wise, I brought a Choice Scarf Adamant Natured Buzzwole, and this has just enough speed with Scarf to outspeed full max speed Pheromosa. And it's just gonna hit like a truck. It's supposed to wall break. It's what it does. I brought Zatanna, which is rocking the Life Orb, and it has 4 attacks. It has Sucker Punch, Knock Off, Sludge Bomb, and one more. I don't remember what it is. There's one more, but it has a decent amount of speed to outspeed his Sloramons. Like if he were to bring full speed invested Goodra, I would be able to outspeed it still. You know, I'm not going to outspeed Alakazam. I'm not going to outspeed Pheromosa. Those are the 2 fastest things on his team. I'm not outspeeding that. I knew I wasn't going to outspeed it to begin with. That's why I brought Sucker Punch. So that way I could just beat it with priority. Should it be low enough, I can just priority kill it with Sucker Punch. So I did bring an Assault Vested, physical hitting Tangrowth, yeah, with knockoff Earthquake. Earthquake is just for that for the Tentacruel, so that way I could just smash the Tentacruel with Earthquake. And then it has Power Whip and I think Rock Slide, because he had a Talonflame and I was worried about that Talonflame, so I wanted to catch that Talonflame on switching should he try to bring it in on top of Tangrowth. But Rock Slide, looking at the mess, I knew that Rock Slide was a useless move once I saw the team matchup, but I had to prep for it anyways. I tried for Charizard, for Dragonzord, I tried to bring a quick attack version Charizard with 4 attacks, but it was like quick attack and 3 other attacks, but unfortunately we couldn't get a gen. We couldn't find the right, because it's an event mon with quick attack, so we couldn't find the right version of it. So there is no quick attack, because quick attack was going to be for Pheromosa. It was going to be, you know, if I couldn't get a Dragon Dance off, but I needed to kill Pheromosa at like half health, a quick attack does that. So I wanted to bring that as attack, but that didn't happen. So we brought a Adamant Nature, decently speeded, Charizard, as it will have Outrage, Flare Blitz, Shadow Claw, because I had a feeling you would bring the Pile of Sand, and then it also has Dragon Dance. It has a +1. I pretty much roll through everything on his team. We brought Toxapex, which is a defensive nature Toxapex. This thing just walls out Pheromosa. Pheromosa can't touch it. Pheromosa doesn't get Earthquake, and I made sure of that before I did this set, so it does not get Earthquake. The only thing on his team that can really go toe-to-toe with it would be the Alakazam with Psychic, and the Pile of Sand, as Pile of Sand would do it. It has Baneful Bunker, Toxic Spikes, Recover, and Scold. So I'm a little bit worried. When I saw Pile of Sand, I was a little bit worried because I know about Water Compaction. Water Compaction raises its defense by 2, and I know that trying to hit it, and if it dies, then I now have to try. I have brought a lot of physical threats, so I now have to try to beat it with physical threats at a +2, and that just makes it extremely difficult. So and then lastly, we brought our tech, which is Whitney. This is my Bluff Whitney. This is another Choice Banded Whitney set with Stealth Rocks to bluff the defensive set, and it is rocking Scrappy, because I thought maybe he would bring this Pile of Sand, and I needed to have Scrappy to be able to hit that Pile of Sand, as it does have Earthquake. It has a Hammer Arm. As Hammer Arm, he had a Tyranitar, and I was worried that he was going to bring that Tyranitar, so I brought Hammer Arm just to one-shot the Tyranitar, but he didn't bring it, so now Hammer Arm is kind of useless. Kind of wish that I had like not Power Punchers, maybe something different. You know, maybe Shadow Claw or something. I don't even know if it gets Shadow Claw, but you know, just kind of another move. I kind of wish, but at this point, it does great damage to everything. It's Choice Banded. It's Adamant Natured as well. So I brought 3 Adamant Natured Mons, so all my physical threats do lots of damage. So other than that, let's get into the match now that I've explained half of everything that I wanted to explain. Let me just let me see how we're doing on time here. 15 minutes. Okay. So about 15 minutes in, and I got everything explained. So let's get into the match. Let's just go. I don't want to make this video too horribly much longer. So here we're being challenged by Jonah and his Great Lake Greninjas. So here I decided I was going to lead with Swole. Now here he probably thinks I'm leading with the Zoroark. So I didn't lead with Zoroark. I'm actually sorry, it was Low Kick. Low Kick was the 4th move I put on that Zoroark, now that I remember. So here I know that I don't know what he wants. I can't KO it. So I just decided I'm going to get a free switch into Dragonzord before he sets up the Stealth Rocks, but he actually reveals the counter, and that actually scares me a little bit. But this also is a good opportunity, because now I can get a free +1. He cannot survive a Flare Blitz even at normal. So here he goes into his Tentacruel. This is great for me because this allows me to get a free +1 Charizard. I'm not actually out anything. This is great positioning for me as I can just click, as I get into this. With this, I couldn't guarantee what I probably should have done. No. The calc said I couldn't guarantee the KO with Shadow Claw, so I didn't want to just put Shadow Claw. So I decided to lock myself in Outrage, as Outrage is guaranteed to kill this thing. And with this thing gone, there's no way he gets the Toxic Spikes off his side of the board once they're up. His Toxic Soaker is gone, his Spinner is gone. So once I get my hazards up, every time he switches, he's gonna take a lot of damage. Here I'm locked into Outrage. There's nothing I could do. Here I actually was really fearing he would hit the counter button, but he actually doesn't, and I only get a 2-turn Outrage, but he actually clicks on Underway, which is great for him because now he's slowed down my Charizard very much. But this is also good for me because if I break through this confusion and I break through the paralysis, I can one-shot this thing with Flare Blitz. So I just click Flare Blitz as I don't want to lose any sort of edge that I have, but I get hit in confusion, which sucks because that does a good quarter of my life. Here he sets up Stealth Rocks. I knew he would. I didn't want to switch out because I didn't want to take Rocks damage coming back in and lose the advantage that I had with my +1. Here I just click Flare Blitz again and I get confused again. So very unlucky for us, as half of my health is pretty much gone just by hitting myself. Had I hit the Flare Blitz on the first one, he never would have gotten the Stealth Rocks up, and all of his hazards his Stealth Rocks would not have been on the board. But here I break through the third time and I get the Flare Blitz off, as I just get this thing out of the way, and this thing is no longer in the way. So now both of his biggest walls, including his special wall, is out of the way. So here I'm pretty sure Dragonzord is dead. I can't switch it out because he'll never survive the rock entrance. I just need to hope. I just go for the speed here, and this is where I actually I was just like, okay, maybe he overthinks this, maybe whatever. I just need to click Outrage and just attempt something. But he kills us there with Alakazam. Here I actually switch in, and this is Altana, this is Atana, this is our Zoroark in disguise. I brought this in just in case he wants to get cheeky, but he decides to switch out. It really makes me wish that I'd had Pursuit, because I did at one point in building, did have Pursuit on it, but I switched it for Low Kick. So here I just go for Knockoff, and it's just good for me because he brings this Goodra in, and that does a lot of damage. It did a lot of damage. But we now know it's Gooey. I knew it's Assault Vested, which means I know he has 4 moves. Here I have no qualms at all clicking Sucker Punch because he has to go for an attack since he was Assault Vest natured. Plus I couldn't guarantee the KO with nor could I guarantee that I was faster after that Gooey. So here I just decided I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna click this. So here he brings in Abu Dhabi. I don't know what this Pheromosa is, but I know I want to get damage on it in case it's sashed. So I just go for Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is going to do a lot of damage. That's a clean 50+%, which is great, especially with Life Orb. I almost went Black Glasses, which would have done just about the same. But here I know I'm going to lose it because as soon as I see U-turn, I know it's going. I was kind of hoping he would go for the high jump kick and miss, which would have been amazing, but he doesn't. So he doesn't get it. So but he does it. But it does show that his Beast Boost is attack, which means he is full. He doesn't have as much speed invested as the other. So here I look at it, I'm like, okay, Ivy can eat this thing. Ivy just doesn't care. Ivy doesn't matter, because Ivy can eat this. It can eat, a Shadow Ball. It can eat a Psychic. It can eat anything this thing wants to do. So I'm just gonna go for the knockoff, as I want to break this Sash so that way Swole can come in and sweep the game late on. As he actually goes into Abu Dhabi, and I'm like, God damn, if I had gone for Power Whip and I had connected with that Power Whip, I would have done so much damage. It would have actually taken him out from that range. But it did show that he was sashed. So here I just decided I'm going to stay in as I can survive any attack this thing wants to do to me, and I can get a free knockoff on whatever comes in. So here he brings back out Mustafa, and I'm like, oh good, I'm gonna break the Sash. I'm gonna do all this. I don't have to worry about it. Ivy goes for that knockoff, and Ivy is powerful as hell because that one hit KO'd it. And I was like, oh, it one hit KO'd, he wasn't Sashed. Come to find out, he was Choice Scarfed. So he actually had a Scarfer to battle my Scarfer, which is good that we got rid of it. So here I know I can't take another one. I don't wanna lose this thing just yet. I want this thing around because he still has that Palossand in the back that I have to worry about. So here I go into Toxic. I'm pretty sure that thing is coming in soon. So here, yeah, he just turns out, and I know he's going into Palossand. So I look at it this way, and I'm like, okay, well, I can survive Earth Power. I know it has an Earth Power, because it would not have Earth Power. Earth Power is a great move on it. And plus, he knows that I'm weak to Earth. He knows I have a couple mons weak to Earth. So here I just decide I'm gonna go for Toxic Spices. He sets up an Amnesia. No, I'm not gonna lie, I missed this first Amnesia. I was when I was battling, my son came up and asked me something, and I turned my head away from the screen. And when I set it up, I was like, oh, he didn't use Earth Power because I didn't take any damage, and I didn't see what he did. And I checked my debuffs, and I was like, okay, I didn't see anything. I was like, okay, maybe he went for Toxic or something, expecting me to switch out. No, he just I missed the Amnesia. So here he goes for this. It does 50%. I set up the second layer of spikes. I am now guaranteed to kill this the Pheromosa upon even coming back in. If I can wall it and take a hit, it's guaranteed to die. So here I just decided I'm not going to take another Earth Power. I'm going to go into Ivy. I know Ivy can eat these Earth Powers. It's Assault Vested. I ain't even worried about it. And I've, at this point, I haven't, the only thing that I've seen is Toxic, and I've seen Toxic and Earth Power. And I remember I missed the Amnesia, so I didn't know. So I didn't know this thing had a +2 to special defense. So here I just go for Power Whip, but I miss. Now this proves huge. As he gets this Toxic off, if I had hit this Power Whip, it does 50%. It does over 50%. And if he is leftovers like I think he is, he doesn't survive 2 of them. And it does prove that I am faster than this thing. So there is no speed investment without speed, my 10 growth non-speed invested. Here I hit the Power Whip, and this is where hitting the first one would have mattered a lot, because this second one crit and would have killed it. And I would not have had to worry about this thing, but he uses Shore Up, and I had totally forgot this thing had a reliable recovery. So now I'm like, great, it's going to be one of those matches. He's going to stall me out while I'm using Power Whip. So here I'm just like, great. I was like, I don't know if I can beat it. I don't have a Toxic. I can't get it out. I don't know what I can do against this thing. At this point, I'm actually looking at it going, I don't think I have anything that does anything. And I'm doing calcs for like Buzzwall. And I'm like, what does Buzzwall do with an Ice Punch? Oh my God, it does like 38% and it doesn't do enough. And I'm like, okay, well, what does Miltank do with what does Miltank do? And I'm like, okay. So here I'm starting to get worried. I went for knockoff here because I didn't want that reliable recovery, and I didn't want the recovery and leftovers coming into play. So here I just go for another Power Whip. I'm going to try and get it down as far as I can, so that way I don't have to worry about it. Here he's just, like I said, he's just going to Shore Up, and he's just going to Toxic Stall my 10 growth out of this. And I believe this is the last one for him. This is the last one for me. And at this point, I'm like, how many uses of Shore Up can he use? And I'm looking it up going, he gets 16. So I'm like, crap. I have to try to like stall this thing out of its Shore Ups. I'm like, okay. At this point, I have to try to do something. So here I just go for recovery. As he goes for Toxic, expecting me to make it double. At this point, I get back up to full health, which is good for me because I'm like, okay, this is great. And at this point, I'm literally going through all of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm spending a lot of time on the clock trying to figure out how I'm going to get around this. And at this point, this is when I finally see Amnesia, and I'm like, oh God, he's at +2, and I can't do anything. Little did I know he was actually at +4 special defense, so I couldn't touch this thing. And I did have Scold, but it would have been relying on a burn. It would have been, relying on Shore Ups, get it there, and it would have been just a huge pain. And actually, the burn would have been bad for us later on, and I'll tell you why later on. So I'm actually really glad I didn't do it. Plus, I didn't want to give him the Water Compaction and give him a +2 defense. So I was like, does he get +1 defense or does he get +2? So at this point, I'm pretty much just trying to stall him out of these Shore Ups, and I'm trying to stall him out of, his. I'm basically trying to get him to use up all of his whatchamacallits, all of his Earth Powers, because once he's gone with Earth Power, he can't touch me, and once he's done with Earth Power, I can sit there, recover up, and I can get up past him and all of this. But here he goes for the Toxic. Maybe he thought I was going to switch out. No, he knew I was going to switch out, which is good for him. So here I just decide, you know what, I got to do some damage to this thing. So here's where I revealed my Choice Banded Double Edge, and that does 50%. Now here, he just kind of goes for Shore Ups. I think he was expecting me to be a defensive nature. If I had actually been defensive nature, because one of my original plans was to bring Stealth Rocks on this thing with Toxic and Heal Bell and Milk Drink, I would have actually outlived this thing, since he doesn't have a way to get rid of Toxic, and I could have actually just outdone him. But here, I go for another one, and I'm so close to killing. I was like, oh man, so close. I was like, if I had gotten a high roll, I would have actually taken him out there, but it was, we got two, not minimums. We got 2 of the, the average rolls, and here I'm like, great, I can't really do anything. I gotta go into Swole, and the only thing I can really do at this point is just click the Ice Punch button. I'm scarfed in. I'm like, there's nothing else I can do, and at this point I'm like, I don't even think I can win this match. So I'm just like, okay, click Ice Punch because it's Ice Punch and it does the most amount of damage out of everything you can do. You can't touch it with superpower. You can't touch it with anything else. As he's just gonna shore up, and eventually I think I'm like, his plan is to get to full health, toxic me, and just keep shoring up, and then using things like things to whittle me down. So here I just go for another one, as I'm like, oh cool, and then he goes for another shore up, and I'm like, great. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna beat this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And this turn is actually great because this is when if I had gone for the burn, I would not have been able to pull this out because this happens. I get a freeze. I'm not even gonna lie, I forgot Ice Punch freezes. Now I see the freeze, I'm like, oh my god, hacks. Oh my god, okay, so this finally worked. I was like, as long as he doesn't thaw out on this turn, I can kill this thing, get it out of the way. He doesn't thaw out. And I'm like, oh my god, okay, so I'm like, this is a win. This is a win for me. Pheromosa is not scarfed. I already knocked off his sash. I know I'm faster. At this point, I know I have the win in the bag. It does suck that I had to rely on a freeze hacks, but I wasn't actually trying to freeze it to begin with. So it just happened to be the way that it was. So I wasn't trying to freeze it. It just happened to happen that way. But it just happened that way. So this one, I know I told him at this point I was scarfed. I was like, look, I'm scarfed, and as it is, I know I'm gonna kill this thing. So Swole comes in, takes the last 2 kills on the back of a hacks. And that actually does, I'm not gonna lie, it does suck a little bit. But if you look at it, I also missed a power whip, a key power whip, where if I had hit that first power whip, the second one would have killed it to begin with. So getting a little bit of hacks in my favor was nice, considering that not only did I miss that power whip, I also hit myself twice with Charizard. So with that, we end up taking a 2. Oh, no, I hit the wrong button. No. Oh, no, get out of there. I hit the wrong button. Oh, that's the button I want. There we go. So we end up taking a win in 34 turns. As now this puts us at 6-4 at +7. We have officially won the Ula Ula division, and we are guaranteed our playoff spot. We're guaranteed our playoff spot. We were guaranteed it before, but now we guarantee that we are taking number 1. Sorry, let me rephrase that. As of when I know this, Dom's match will determine whether we take number 1 or number 2. So if he loses, he has to lose by a big margin for us to take number 1. I think it's something like a 5-0. He has to take like a 5, or possibly even a 6-0. I think it's a 6-0 because even if he 5-0s, he beat us head to head, so he still takes number 1. I'm not gonna lie, as the part of this video when it comes out, Dom did lose his match, but he didn't lose by enough to push us into that. So we do win our division, but we take division conference number 2. So we are in seed number 2 for the playoffs. So the playoffs are looking really, really interesting, especially for the Sun division, because it all depends on like 3 people's matches, and when depending on how they go will depend on how the seeds look. So we're gonna get a break next week as our wild card matches for the next week are gonna come in. So I'm uncertain exactly who we're gonna play, but looking at it now, we could be playing Cap again, which I want a little bit of revenge, because I believe we could have won had it not been for that misclick, or at least if we would have lost, it would have lost by a smaller margin, which means we wouldn't have taken the 4-0, we would have taken maybe a 1-0, and then we could have been much, much closer to taking the number 1 spot, but it just is the way it is. So, Jonah, thanks for the match. It was a great match. I'm sorry about the hacks. I'm not gonna lie though, it was nice to see something finally coming in my favor. I have a hacks team, but yet I've tried as little amount as possible to rely on hacks. I've tried to beat my opponent by just actually beating my opponent and not relying on hacks like Iron Head flinches and all of that. You know, when it does happen, it is a little bit hacksy, especially like the Iron Head flinch on something in week 4, I think it was, where I Iron Head flinched something and flinched it and ended up killing it on the next turn. So, oh, no. That was a different match. That was a different league. Also, speaking about a different league, we were in the NPCC Minors. That one, the league kind of imploded in and on itself. So there's no more NPCC matches just because the league kind of just disappeared. So I'm gonna get going because now my family's walking in. But I hope you guys have a great time. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe. I will talk to you guys later, and have yourselves a great night. Bye.